My name's Paul, welcome to Paul Perambulates. In this episode I'm in the west of England, in Somerset on the Mendips, in the Blackdown and Cheddar Gorge area. My start point is the Rock of Ages car park, Burrington Coombe. Grid reference ST47665879, postcode BS407AT. What 3 words? Harsh, reshaped hunters. I begin with a steep climb up to the ridge on Blackdown, then drop down through mainly farmland past Coombe Quarry into the bottom of Cheddar Gorge. That's followed by a long climb, rewarded with spectacular views up the southern side of Cheddar Gorge. Then a steep drop to Black Rock and a gentle stroll through the old lead workings along Velvet Bottom. There's a short section of road walking to get back up onto Blackdown to reach the highest point of the Mendips, Beacon Batch. That's followed by a steep drop back down into Burrington Coombe. Total distance 17.7 kilometres, total height gain 655 metres, total time, including half an hour for lunch, 6 hours and 6 minutes. Rock of Ages car park, Burrington Coombe. Absolutely free, no gates. Has a very nice, well-maintained toilet block and a rather noisy cattle grid. On a nice weekend or a nice day in the holidays, it gets very full. Rock of Ages is itself a popular destination for abseilers, climbers, cavers, and of course goats. But I've got other places to go and other stuff to see as well. Heading up Burrington Coombe. It's a very busy road, but there is a path along the side of it, at least part of the way up. We have a nice path up the side of the valley, shadowing the stream, and then part way up we come to Sidcot Swallow. The Swallow is a small cave entrance into the hillside. There are a few of those around here. There's a lot of caving goes on. Absolutely do not be tempted to go and have a look around in there, because you might never come out again. It's a steep old climb, but there's a few interesting artefacts on the way, like this stone sink. No idea what that's for. Basically following the stream up most of the way until we come out onto open ground shortly. It's coming above the tree line now, and I can see the path up the hill, and the top of the ridge is where I want to go next. It's my great good fortune this morning to come across the Blackdown ponies, having a nice graze in the early morning light. Coming down the other side now, Twinings Farm riding stables at the bottom there, the probable owner of those ponies, and in the distance views of Somerset opening up, although nowhere near as good views as we're going to get later on. The map tells me that the path here goes between this barely visible fence in front of me and the wall just behind it. That's obviously completely impassable, although you might be able to do some good blackberry picking in there. The landowner is obliged to keep public rights of way clear and passable. If they don't, you are entitled to go round. So that's exactly what I'm doing on this vehicle path that goes alongside it. We can see that the haymaking's all been done here, but more interesting are the views. Brent Knoll, Sedgemoor, down towards the Quantocks. This is the first time I've ever been past Burrington Coombe quarry on a weekday, and so the first time I've ever seen it being worked. As we drop down into Cheddar on a road which I know leads straight down there, we run into this rather forbidding sign. But fear not, turning back on yourself to the right and heading down the road, about 100 metres down, you'll see this gate on the right, and directly opposite it on the left, a path running parallel to that road. So this is the one that we want to follow. At the other end, that path comes back out onto the road down into Cheddar again. If you happen to be coming the other way, once again, gates, walls, forbidding signs, and obviously you would want to take that path which we've just come along. I'm arriving in Cheddar Gorge now, which could itself be the subject for a whole other video, but we'll keep it focused on the walk. And here there's a particularly excellent spot for lunch. The park by the weir. Right opposite the park we have Jacob's Ladder, which goes exactly where we want to go, but you have to pay £6.50 for adults when I came, £4.85 kids, to climb some steps. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to head to the bottom of the gorge and go round. This is the cheapskate way around. Left and left again at the bottom of the gorge, and then left again into Lynch Lane, and then when the path forks at the top, left again. At the top of Jacob's Ladder we have this, the observation tower. This is what it's like on the way up. Pretty solid sheet metal steps. I think you'd have to have a particular problem with heights not to be able to do this one. The tower is quite low down on the hill and surrounded by trees, so the view you get from it is actually fairly limited. The only thing we can see better from here than we will be able to from the top of the gorge later is the view up the gorge itself. And we're on the gorge walk now, up the edge of the gorge to where the actual real views are. It's a beautiful day during the school holidays. Cheddar was crowded. Bottom part of the walk was crowded. As soon as I've started climbing though, it's gone mysteriously silent. No doubt there will be some people at the top, but nowhere near as many. At some points, the walk up brings you close up to the edge, so you can look down into the gorge. I'm above the main tree line, and it's starting to look really good behind me now. Getting up towards the top now, where the really good views are. There are plenty of people up here actually enjoying the view, and I'm going to join them. And why wouldn't I, when this is what you can see? Standing sentry at the western end of the Mendips, Crook Peak. Just to the south of that, Brent Knoll. Behind it, Exmoor, and its highest point, Dunkery Beacon. Nearer, the distinctive shape of Cheddar Reservoir. Away to the south, misty and mystical, Glastonbury Tor. It's a great spot on a beautiful day to watch the people and the clouds go by. And I take full advantage. Path down off the end is extremely steep, very rocky. If you have sticks, I would use them. In the winter, it's extremely slippery, quite dangerous. Today, middle of summer, not too much of a problem. We're at the bottom of that steep path now, and we are at Black Rock at the top of Cheddar Gorge. Crossing the road, heading towards Velvet Bottom. Although this path winds its way along a reasonably deep gully, scenery wise has its moments too. As you walk along Velvet Bottom, you'll come across a series of these dams, and they are the result of lead mining, which began in Roman times but carried on as recently as Victorian times. They're all easy enough to get past, but they provide a little bit of historical interest. Here's another one. There is no water flowing down here these days, and the dams are all easy enough to get past. They all have little stony paths up through them. As we come further along, you start to see evidence of the mine workings themselves, where the lead was dug out from the soil quite close to the surface. At one point, the path wends its way along the bottom of the cuttings, big banks along either side. Youngsters love anything shiny, and whenever I bring the scouts along here, they are never less than fascinated by this, the spoil from the old leadworks. Once you get to the far end of Velvet Bottom, there is loads of it on the ground, off to the sides, small bits, big bits. At least one scout always picks up a bit to take home, usually more. At the top end of Velvet Bottom, something I'm more used to seeing in the Brecon Beacons, a shake hole. In the Beacons, it's normally caves underground where the roofs have collapsed in, and then the surface above collapses into the hole. Here it's more likely mine workings. The other difference is that in the Beacons, they're normally left open. This one's been fenced off and had a grill put over it, which, given that this is a more public place, is probably a good idea. Another thing to note of Velvet Bottom is that there's a car park here. Free, no gates. So if you want to do part of the walk, you could base yourself from here. Coming up now on where my Freeview TV signal comes from. Being TV towers, obviously they have to be right out in the open, and that makes them excellent navigational aids. Can't go wrong if you find these. Heading back up onto Blackdown now. Stony old path up here, but quite shallow. And the weather just gets better and better. Barely a cloud in the sky now. Right next to Beacon Batch is this Iron Age burial mound. People clearly don't take any notice whatsoever of the sign, looking at that track worn right up through the middle of the top of it. And here we are, arriving at the top, where suddenly you can see everything. Beacon Batch, 325 metres, highest point of the Mendips. Nice way to top off the afternoon. Looking north from here, the second Severn crossing, and in front of that, Bristol Airport. Looking to the west, the islands of Steepholm and Flatholm in the Bristol Channel, Wales on the far shore, Weston-super-Mare on the near. And just up the coast, Last but never least, my beloved hometown of Clevedon. On the way down from the crown of the hill, an unrivalled view of my home county, North Somerset. There's this big cut into the hillside here where East Twin Brook runs, and I'm following that down to find my way back down into Burrington Coombe. It is an exceptionally steep descent following East Twin Brook, and if you have sticks, I would use them if I were you. I'm using mine. I never tire of saying how I love the sound of running water. At this point, I'm crossing East Twin Brook, which is making a lovely sound. We saw one of these on the way up, and here's another one on the way down. This is East Twin Swallet, into which East Twin Brook flows and disappears. I think I've talked enough swallets for today, so on we go. Following the path down from East Twin Swallet, we come out into Burrington Coombe. From here, nice and easy, you just head on down the Coombe. I'm sat in the car park at Burrington Coombe. Little glimpse of the Rock of Ages up to my right there. I'm having to compete with the sound of the traffic going over the cattle grid not far away. Nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. That walk is very well known to me. I've done it many times, so it's a little bit difficult for me to judge it for other people, but it's certainly one of my favourites. It's local to me, so it's nice and easy to do. What I would say is that there are some pretty steep climbs in there. It's a good fitness workout, or alternately a little bit difficult, depends on how fit you are, I suppose. What you do get is some fantastic views, pretty good ones from the top of Blackdown. From the top of Cheddar Gorge, they are absolutely amazing. You can see right across Sedgemoor, see down to Glastonbury Tor, down to the Quantocks, across the Channel to Wales. I would highly recommend, if you were just going to do a bit of it, do that bit, maybe the Cheddar Gorge walk or something like that. Difficulty wise, I'd give it a 6, not that difficult for me, maybe veer into a 7 for the steep climbs. On a summer day like today, it's an absolutely fantastic walk. Get out and give it a go. All maps and 3D fly-throughs provided by kind permission of Ordnance Survey through their excellent OS online application. Big thanks also for all music used in this video to mixkit.co and uppbeat.io. Specific song and artist credits can be found in the comments. These videos are intended to show you around the routes I walk, in case you're considering doing them yourself. They are absolutely not intended to be any kind of general hill walking guidance or training. If you need hill walking skills, obtain them in person from a reputable, qualified provider. Please don't attempt these walks unless you have the required levels of fitness, equipment, knowledge and experience. You can find more about me and my background at my website paulperambulates.co.uk. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Paul Perambulates. If you did, please subscribe and share.